All right, let's talk about a project that's basically taking the entire crypto playbook, tearing it up, and starting from scratch. We're going to get into how InterLink is building a full-blown, working, verified digital nation before even getting close to a public exchange. You know the drill in crypto, right? For pretty much any new project, the first and, let's be honest, often the only question is when listing. It's all about that race to an exchange to get a price ticker. But what if asking that question right away actually points to a huge fundamental problem? What if it's a focus on hype that dooms most projects before they even get off the ground? So, to really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to first look at the standard model. The one that's almost always driven by pure hype and speculation. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the classic crypto playbook. It's a house of cards, really. You list, you get a price, you get a ton of speculation, and then you cross your fingers and hope you can build some actual utility before the whole thing comes crashing down. But on the right, that's a whole different story. The sequence is completely flipped. You start with real, verified humans, then you build the network, you create your own demand, you attract serious institutions, and only then, as the very last step, do you even think about a listing.
Yeah, this reversal is no accident. It is an incredibly deliberate strategy. So let's break down exactly how InterLink is pulling off this infrastructure-first approach.
So it all comes down to the order of things. And I mean, this is absolutely key. It starts with what actually matters, real people. By verifying every single user, they build what's called a Sybil-resistant network. Fancy term, but all it means is it's protected from bots and fake accounts that create fake hype. Then, they build an internal economy, their own exchange, their own payment systems that actually works. And that proven working utility is what gets the attention of serious institutional money. The external listing, that comes at the very, very end. And this right here is the mic drop moment. For, 99% of projects, a listing is the on switch. It's the moment the whole thing is supposed to come to life. For InterLink, the lights have been on for a long time. The city is already built and buzzing with activity. A listing is just like opening up a new superhighway so more people can drive in.
So we're throwing around this term digital nation. Sounds pretty cool, right? But what does it actually look like? Let's take a peek under the hood at the pillars that make this a reality, and not just some nice idea on a white paper.
It all starts right here. Over 5 million verified human users. And let's be super clear, this is not a count of anonymous wallets that could all be owned by one person. No, these are real, unique individuals. Now, if you're an institution, this is gold. It means the network's value is based on actual human engagement, not bots you can easily manipulate. That fundamentally de-risks the whole proposition. And this is the actual machinery of the digital nation. They didn't just sit around and wait for Uniswap or hope to get on Binance. Nope, they built their own stuff. They have ITLX, their internal exchange layer where you can already trade crypto, tokenized stocks like Tesla and Nvidia, even prediction markets. They have a Visa card that lets you spend globally, and it all runs on their own chain. All of it secured by that core verified identity tech. And to make sure it all runs smoothly, you have the treasury. Now, don't think of this as just a big pot of money. It's more like an economic steward or a central bank whose entire job is to keep the network stable for the long haul. It manages the token supply, makes sure things are stable, and prevents that out-of-control inflation that just torches so many other projects. It's built-in responsibility. I absolutely love this analogy because it just nails the difference. Most projects are like these little pop-up shops. They're temporary and they desperately need to set up in a busy mall. That's the exchange, just so people will see them. InterLink? Nah. They're building the entire city first, complete with citizens, banks, and shops, before that mall even thinks about opening its doors. So what happens when you build a real city with real citizens and a functioning economy? You don't just get tourists, you attract the serious developers, the big investors. And this is where that whole infrastructure first thing really starts to pay off. It creates what we call the institutional signal. This is so critical to get. We're talking about corporate treasuries, big institutional funds. They do not make investment decisions based on what's trending on Twitter or what some influencer is shouting about. They do intense due diligence. They're looking for working tech, verifiable numbers, and signs of credibility from outside the crypto bubble. And these are the signals they're picking up on. First off, being backed by Google for Startups. That's not just a fancy logo, it's a huge stamp of approval from one of the biggest names in tech on your entire business model. Next up, you've got serious technical credibility from NIST. That's the U.S. government's agency for setting tech standards. Being ranked by them puts their core AI and identity tech among the best in the world. That screams deep technical competence. And then you get an invitation from the heart of traditional finance itself, the New York Stock Exchange. When the old guard invites you in for a chat, you know they are paying very, very close attention. So just put yourself in the shoes of one of these institutions doing their homework. What's on their checklist? Real working infrastructure? Check. Verifiable network effects from millions of actual people? Check. And credible trust signals from names they already know and respect? Big check. See, this isn't a speculative gamble for them. This is the recipe for a reserve asset. So when you put all of that together, you start to realize this is creating something different, a whole new class of digital asset that's not built for quick flips, but for institutional balance sheets. A huge part of the architecture here is this dual token system, and it's actually kind of genius. Think of it like this. You've got ITLG, that's the cash flowing through the city's economy. It's what you earn by participating, and it powers all the day-to-day activity. Then you've got ITL, that's like the gold bars in the city's treasury. It's designed for stability, for governance. That's the asset institutions are holding to anchor their own balance sheets. And separating them is brilliant because it protects that core reserve asset from the daily inflation of the reward token. And with their upcoming v5.0 update, the whole internal system just clicks into place. Look at this loop. You can earn ITLG just for being a verified human in the network. You can then exchange it for the stable reserve asset, ITL. You load that onto your Visa card and you can spend it anywhere in the real world. It's a completely self-sufficient earn-to-spend economy. So look, the foundation is solid. The system works. That part is proven. The story is no longer about proving the concept. Now it's all about one word, scale. And the goal is huge, 100 million users. But honestly, when you go from 0 to 5 million in less than a year, it suddenly sounds a lot less crazy and a lot more like a plan. Which brings us to the final and most important shift. The entire conversation around InterLink has changed. The old question, will this thing even work? Well, that's been answered by millions of users and a ton of working infrastructure. The only real question left is about magnitude. It's just how far can a digital nation built like this actually go?